Well, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Thursday. Welcome to September 11th. It is a good morning. It is a fantastic morning. It's going to be an even better day. So, welcome to September. I hope you're looking forward to a fantastic day. Good morning, Miss Carrie. My name is Aaron Dwyer, and I'm one of the broker owners of Exit Realty Lake Country. So, if you're up with us early this morning, do me a favor, jump on here and tell us good morning, so we all know you're here. Good morning, Lynn. Good morning, Michelle. I'm still in Nashville. I think this is the last day of the GAR conference. So we'll have a couple of good morning, Melanie, have a couple of sessions this morning, and then I think be headed back to Georgia this afternoon. So looking forward to some cool sessions this morning. I think at least one session. I know Christy's super fired up about the contracts class this morning. If you can get fired up about contracts with an attorney, then Christy can. Christy can do that. So we'll be going to contracts class this morning. So, good week. We've had a great week here in Nashville. Had a day off yesterday to recover. We had a large time on Tuesday night, so Wednesday was the rest and recovery day that sometimes you need to get when you're on a week trip in Nashville. If you're not familiar with this and if you've ever been to Nashville, there's not much to do. Good morning, Miss Brenda. There's not much. Well, I take that back. There's a lot to do. That's one of the things I love about Nashville. There's always stuff to do. Look at Anna Davis being up this morning. Good morning, girl. We lost a couple. Anthony and Jamal drove back to Georgia yesterday. They came up for a couple of days and hung out with us here at the conference and at the party at Exit. Came up to support us. So that was really, really super cool. I having a day off. I don't remember what we talked about on Tuesday, but I will say this. It is amazing to me the difference. We had a conversation with an agent. She's an exit agent. She's an exit agent from another company, and we had a really good conversation with her yesterday afternoon. And it that conversation in conjunction with some other things that we have seen, um, through this week, it really, really it magnifies the point. It accentuates the point that Exit Realty is just a different kind of real estate company. It certainly accentuates the point that Exit Realty Lake Country is a different kind of real estate company, even inside the Exit brand, Exit Realty Lake Country. Good morning, Jolie. You guys aren't showing, so Jolie, Brenda, and Anna, you still aren't showing, but it's okay. Good morning. Glad you're here. But Exit Realty Lake Country is a different kind of real estate company. And good morning, Teal. Good morning, Vanessa. Good morning. Good morning. Um, just a different kind of real estate company. And when we talked with that agent yesterday afternoon, it really boils down to you guys are just so fantastic. I mean, every one of our agents are just these amazing people who who for and this is probably some false humility, but I have no idea why you're attracted to Exit Realty Lake Country. I have no idea why, but I kind of do. Like attracts like. Christy and I have this desire to do great things. We have this desire to help other people be better. We have this desire to help spread love and light in the world, and we've got a company full of agents who feel the same way. And like attracts like in good ways, and like attracts like in bad ways. I mean, it works both ways, unfortunately. Um, but what I have seen over the last 3 or 4 days is that we're just a super special thing, and the super special thing that we are needs to be spread. It needs to be. Good morning, Millie. It needs to be spread. It needs to be expanded. It needs to grow. It needs to. We need to reach our arms out wider and bring more people in who want this. But sometimes, and I said this yesterday in the conversation, you can't make a turtle fly. You can't make a turtle fly. You can throw them off the top of the building, but I promise you, the turtle's not going to fly. And sometimes people just decide to be turtles and don't want to grow. They'd rather be in their shell. They'd rather hide their head inside their average. They'd rather hide their head inside their mediocrity. They'd rather hide their head inside their self-reliance or their lack of care or whatever it is that, you know, it's not good or bad. It's just it is what it is. And and I think in our company, the Exit Realty Lake Country, we are doing something special. You guys are doing something special. You guys are special. And Christy said this yesterday in this conversation. We are in the business of creating leaders, and every one of you are taking steps towards becoming that leader. Every one of you are doing those things to do that, and to become that, and to grow in that, and and it just makes us special. And man, we have had some interesting conversations. I mean, we have had some interesting conversations. If you were on, I don't know how many of you guys were on the call yesterday afternoon, the office meeting yesterday afternoon. But we had a Christy actually had the conversation with someone down at Lake Oconee, and he's a big name down in Lake Oconee. I mean, he's one of the probably the bigger names down at Lake Oconee, and just the conversation. And of course, he was at the stage, and it was midnight, and it meant he's probably had more than a couple cocktails. And so he was just, but just the general disposition. Again, sometimes alcohol is a lot like money. When you have a lot of money and you're a not a very nice person, having a lot of money just accentuates you not being a very nice person. It just makes you nasty. And sometimes alcohol does the same thing for people who are just not nice people, or they've got a lot of hurts or whatever. They sometimes hurt more. They sometimes get nastier, and so that's kind of what we saw, but it was very revealing in that point. And what we have seen over the last 3 or 4 days is just the in this industry, in this as a whole, it's very inwardly focused as an industry. Very inwardly focused as an industry. Look at me, look at me, look at me. It is much less about helping the other people be better. It's much more about what can I get out of this. And what we have seen is this is just something that's over and over and over again. It's replicated. It's duplicated. It just kind of perpetuates in this industry. And Christy and I said yesterday afternoon in this conversation, I mean, I truly think that you guys, we are on a mission to really revamp this industry, to really revamp the real estate industry by just being able to show love, share love, be love, help others be better, and just continuing to put that out in the universe, continue to perpetuate that into the universe. So it's been a really cool week, very eye opening, but also very encouraging that we're on the right path, that we're doing the right things, that we are taking the right steps, that we're in the place that we need to be right now to do the things that need to be done. And so I'm super encouraged by that. And honestly, the realtor conventions are typically like this one is much more legislative. It's much more, hey, what can the realtor association do for you? What is realtor of the year? It's this committee or that committee and this meeting and that meeting. So and then everybody, and the networking piece has been super cool. And so Christy and we've gotten to have some really good conversations. We've met some people that I think are going to really be great here in the next couple months, 2 or 3 weeks, as we follow up on those conversations. So looking forward to that. So this morning I'm gonna get rolling, and I hope that when you saw the title of the call this morning, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to go now. And I hope that song is playing in your head. So because it's such a catchy little tune, but it's a Kenny Chesney song, and I don't know why it came to me this morning to talk about this, other than one of the things that I heard in my run this morning. Everybody wants to do great things, but nobody wants to do the small things to make you great. Everybody wants to do great things, but nobody wants to do the small hard things that it's going to take to get you there. Everybody wants to be fit, but not many people want to do what it's going to take to be fit. Everybody wants to have health, but not many people are going to discipline themselves enough in the small hard things and push away from certain things or don't do certain things to make them healthy. A lot of people want to be whatever. They want to have some level of excellence, some level of achievement, some level of something fantastic, but it's hard to get those people to do the disciplined, hard, small things over and over consistently enough to achieve that. And so what really, I don't know, it didn't don't necessarily know that this inspired me much because I wasn't thinking about this at the time. But yesterday we had a session where there were three songwriters from the Bluebird Cafe who got up on stage and started singing songs, and they would tell their story, and they would share their story and how they got to where they are writing songs in Nashville. So I want you to remember this. Everybody wants to do great things, but very few people are willing to do the small hard things to be great. So as these people are telling their stories, is this one musician's from Australia, one musician is from Canada, one musician is from California. Are you jumping in? You want to come in? She's hovering. She's circling like a shark. I'm just she's over here circling. If y'all heard that background noise, she's over here circling. I'm not sure if she was coming in. If I need to tap out and let her come in, or what we're doing here. Um, but as I listened to their story, they all had these harrowing experiences. They all had these things that have happened, and they're just telling you the fun stories. They're just telling you the things that, hey, what they had to go through to be where they are. And every one of all three of these songwriters that were up on stage, one has written songs with Sarah Evans, one has written songs for, you know, Blake Shelton and Kenny Chesney and Keith Urban. One's wrote songs with Jessica. I mean, they are big time. I mean, these are big time songwriters in Nashville. And you listen, and one told the story that she had a car, and maybe it's fudged a little bit. Maybe it's sometimes you add things to the story to eyes always do that. Eye personalities always add a little extra to the story to make them sound better. But maybe this is true. But she talked about having to jump off her car, that she had a car that wouldn't start. So she didn't have a key or something. I guess she bought a previously stolen car and it lost its ignition key or something. But she said she had to hotwire it to get it to go. Didn't have air conditioning, but that was her journey. But she moved from Canada. She left Canada, where in Canada she was like the female vocalist of the year. Where in Canada she was at the top of the food chain in the music industry in Canada. But she left Canada to come to Nashville to write songs because she had a dream. Because there was something in her heart that said, Canada's great, and it is, but they have round bacon. They pronounce words funny, but it's a fantastic place. I love Canada, by the way. But Nashville was her dream. The other guy from Australia, this guy from Australia, it said it took him forever to save up to get from Australia to Nashville. And he was writing children's books or children's songs. He wrote songs for the Wiggles, wrote songs for Bob the Builder, wrote songs for Dora the Explorer. I mean, the guy had a pretty decent career, but he had a dream and a vision and a desire to be in Nashville. The other guy from California, this dude, he tells the story that he borrowed one of his friend's FedEx jackets to sneak into some record labels so he could put his demo in people's mailboxes. He had a dream and a desire, and he was going to go do the uncommon things. He was going to go to the point of almost getting arrested and committing mail fraud to get his demo in people's mailboxes because they had a dream or desire. Everybody wants to do great things, but not very many people will do the hard, small things that it's going to take to get there. But these three people that got on stage yesterday told their story of their dream and their desire to come to Nashville. One of them said, I've written thousands of songs, but only 2 or 3 hits. I've written thousands of songs, but only 1 hit. I've written tens of thousands of songs, and I got lucky because I saw Keith Urban in a bathroom. Cooperating components. He even said this, God and the universe puts those things together. Because apparently he wrote a song for Kenny Chesney that Keith Urban liked. Keith Urban said, man, I wish I'd have seen that song first. I'd have recorded that before Kenny Chesney. And the guy says, well, that's funny because I sent it to your manager. I sent it to you. I sent it to all the people around you, and y'all didn't pick it up. So I don't know what to tell you. Well, then he sees him in the bathroom, has a conversation with him, and Keith Urban later down the road ends up recording a song, some really cool songs that you like that were hits. It's uncommon to reach your dreams. I don't think it's a very common thing. I don't think most people achieve those big dreams and desires. I think that's reserved for the 5%, the 3%, whatever percentages those are. I think most people enjoy being mediocre. I think most people enjoy, I take that back. Most people don't enjoy it, but most people are. Their comfort. They enjoy their comfort. They enjoy being comfortable. They enjoy being habitual. They enjoy not pushing the limits. They enjoy not pushing the envelope. They don't want to walk into the shadows because the light is much brighter. Nobody wants to walk into fear. But I want you to think about something. What do you think it takes to move from Australia to Nashville, Tennessee to chase a dream? What do you think it takes to leave Canada, to leave a career, to come to Nashville to chase a dream? What do you think that takes? What do you think it takes to leave grit? Millie, it takes grit without a doubt, but it also takes you gotta be fearless. It takes courage. You gotta be courageous. Because I promise you, when that guy said, "Hey mom, hey dad, I'm moving to Nashville to go be a songwriter," I'm sure the conversation went something like this. Seriously? Do you know how many people move to Nashville to go be songwriters? Nashville's so far away. How are you going to make it? How are you going to live? What happens if you don't make it? I guarantee you there were those conversations. When that girl left Canada and she came to the United States to go to Nashville to be a songwriter, I promise you the conversation was something like this. Why in the hell would you leave this career up here? Why would you want to go to Nashville to be a songwriter when you have all this here? What are you accepting as okay? That you know the longer you accept okay, the further you get away from your dreams, the further you get away from your desires, the further you get away from walking in your purpose. How many minutes, how many days, how many months, how many years are you going to walk in mediocrity? How many days, how many years, how many are you going to walk in average? How many minutes, how many hours, how many days are you going to walk in your habitual behaviors and not push to reach that next spot? To not do those things, y'all, the small things are hard. The small things are hard, but you can't do them once and get there. You can't do it twice and get there. You can't do it 4 or 5 times and get there. You've got to do it all the time. You've got to make those things a habit. You got to make those things a part of your life. You got to make those things just as important to you as breathing. So, what is it right now that's holding you back? Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to go right now. Everybody wants to be great. Here she comes. She couldn't stand it any longer. She's coming in. Everybody wants to be great. Everybody wants to do something magical. But that requires dedication. That requires discipline. That requires focus. That requires you to step out of your comfort zone, step into the unknown, step into that fear, and keep on moving and keep on rocking. Because we all have challenges. We all face difficulties. We all go through stuff. I promise you, you go try to do something big and somebody's going to tell you you're crazy. You go try to do something great and somebody's going to tell you you can't do it. But I want you, when you have that conversation, when you hear those words spoken back to you, I want you to look at the person who's saying those things to you. Because I promise you, the person who's giving you financial advice is probably broke. The person who's telling you that you can't do it probably hadn't done it themselves. The person who's telling you that your dream or your desire there ain't no way you're going to do that, is because they gave up on their dream and their desire long before. Because I promise you, when you surround yourself with people like us, when you surround yourself with people like Exit Realty Lake Country, and you tell one of us, hey, I got this dream, I've got this desire, I got this thing I want to do, you know what we're going to do? We're going to pump it up. Going to pump it up. We're going to pump you up. Are you, she's on the one-leggers. We're going to pump you up.
It sounds like it's finally dark in there.
We're going to blow life into your dream. We're going to blow some love into that dream. We're going to pump it up, and we're going to hold you accountable. We're going to stick with you and stay with you to watch this thing happen. All right, you got to go. I know you got to go. I know you're killing. You're dying right now.
Well, because you're kind of I didn't interrupt early enough. I don't think, because I hate to pull you back to a topic you already on.
It's okay.
But something hit me a while ago when you were saying this. Can y'all hear me? Okay. He hasn't offered me an ear pod yet, so
that is my bad.
We'll see how this goes.
That's my bad.
So talking, it's kind of on that same, but you had to kind of move on a little bit from it. But just talking about supporting you and how long are you going to stay? How long are you going to allow yourself to be held back? Sorry, y'all, my voice. I don't know if it's because we were talking loud in like restaurants or because I did suffer from roid rage for a couple of days.
Another story, another day. We'll circle back to that one maybe another day.
I'm back. I've come back from it, but I did lay into some people for a couple of days.
Here's what you should do. You should text Anna or text Kristen Seabolt, roid rage ? And see what the response is. It'll be a humdinger. Okay, go.
Lord, hold on, sorry. So anyway, so that's what my voice sounds like it does. But we had a conversation yesterday, and we've had this conversation many times in different circles, where what you do at the time, where you were saying something a while ago, I'm trying to think what it was, where it's good. So the people that left, the girl who left Canada, the guy who left Australia, what was her name? The lady from Canada, the song. Anyways, whatever her name was. I'm going to call her Penny because she looked like a penny to me.
She was super good.
She was so good, but she looked like Penny Jenny. She looked like Jenny from Forrest Gump is who she reminded me of.
She had her clothes on, by the way.
She reminded me of Jenny from Forrest Gump, the blonde that Forrest Gump fell in love with. She was a hippie for all that. Anyway, I looked at Erin at some point. I said, I bet she was a hippie.
You did say that. I remember saying. I didn't have that context.
She had such a sweet spirit about her. You can tell she had such a sweet spirit about her. But anyway, but it's just like, how long can you allow yourself to be held back because of loyalty to someone, because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings, because you don't feel equipped, those things that will eventually hold you. And you might be in a situation that's good. Good is the enemy of great.
Yep.
Okay. And so yesterday there's a conversation that we're having with an agent who's not in our company that is, this agent's doing phenomenal. Okay. And newer agent, couple of years in, isn't necessarily in an environment of trust, growth, support, loves her brokers. I can't tell you how many times we've had conversations with people who have allowed themselves to be held back because they love their brokers. How many times? A bunch. Because, and these are the agents that we love. If you're in our company and you've joined us and it was a difficult decision to join a new company, because it was more, the difficult wasn't because you didn't see the opportunity with the new company. Mm-hmm. The hardest piece of it was detaching from the old company.
Change is hard.
Because you love the broker, because you love the people you work with, because of this
comfort,
because of loyalty, because of these things. And it comes to that question of, when do you get to be loyal to yourself? When does your loyalty to yourself and your family trump your loyalty or your obligation or whatever it is to someone else? Because, and we've had this conversation, not even just in real estate, but people who have said, I'm not going to go and do this because I feel like I need to stay here. And then a situation comes up
Mhm.
and the person that they were so loyal to, that they literally had short sold themselves or had been holding themselves back out of obligation or duty to someone else, completely throws them under the bus.
Mhm.
Or a
Mhm.
situation comes up where they're like, sorry, we got to do what's best for us. We're going to have to make this change that affects you. And then that's when they make the decision to move forward with themselves.
Yeah.
And they feel like, and I'm going to use Winston Gibbs as an example, just because I can use Winston, and he's probably, there's a strong chance he's not on this call anyways. But
If you watch it later, sorry, Winston.
You will watch it later. I had the conversation with Winston when he joined our company, and I just use the analogy of a slow rolling train. Okay, how many of us, when you go to make a decision, it's like you're standing there on a slow rolling train, and if you time it and you look at the terrain and you look at all these things, and you make the decision to make your change on your own time, you understand the risks that are associated.
Mhm.
I might land on a rock. I might fall and break my leg. I might land on my feet.
Mhm.
Who knows? There's all sorts of different ways that jump can end up.
Mhm.
But it is a much more controlled setting. It is a much more, you are ready for it. So emotionally, you're prepared. Psychologically, you're prepared for this change. Or you can be on that slow rolling train and someone comes up and pushes you from behind,
Mhm.
even though you're thinking about what would I do if I was to jump? When would I jump? What would I do? But if they push you from behind and you're like, holy crap, I wasn't expecting that.
Mhm.
And then you land and you tumble down the hill
Mhm.
and you didn't have all your stuff with you, and now you've broken 2 arms,
Mhm.
a foot,
Mhm.
and you scraped half the skin off your face. The change happened, but it didn't happen on your terms, and the person who you were committed to and loyal to was not necessarily as much on your team as you thought they were.
Mhm.
They weren't as much behind you as you thought they were. And I say that to say the growth that we can experience, if you are in a setting, and maybe it's the way you look at situations, but you may look at an entire situation and just be in a setting where at the end, you all want to help impact people, but you are the person who looks at it from, I want to impact people, from focusing and growing and maximizing the good things, the good ways that we can impact people. And someone else looks at their through the lens of, let's minimize the bad things that are going on.
Mhm.
And we say this all the time, what your focus is what grows.
Mhm.
If you're focusing on minimizing the bad things, the fact of the matter is you're still focusing on the bad things. Not that you're focusing on doing the bad things, but you're still, that's what's getting your attention.
Mhm.
Whereas if you're focusing, and you can't do, there's no way most of the time that you can do enough. You have to be aware of it, and you do want to do your part, but it's kind of like my 80-15-5 rule. You need to spend 80% of your efforts focusing on the good stuff,
Mhm.
maximizing that, operating in that area. 15% of your time operating in, I can do some change. It's good, it's bad, it's improving.
Mhm.
And then 5% of your time focusing on the weaknesses or the things that just aren't right,
Mhm.
and addressing those things. If you're in an environment where people spend most of their time focusing on the things that are wrong, even if it's focusing on improving those things, you still are spending your time focused on the negative.
Mhm.
Or you can, so I feel like people will sometimes allow themselves to be held back because of loyalty, or they like their broker, or they like the people they work with, or they're comfortable, or Aaron for many, many years did not go into real estate full time because he needed that stability, the comfort zone, all those things. And this goes right in line with what your theme is. We all want the success. We all want to go to heaven. We just don't necessarily want to go right now. If you're on the slow moving train car, you want to jump off. You just don't necessarily want. Oh wait, did they just say they're serving free coffee?
Right.
Wait a minute, I'm not going to jump yet because I'm going to go get the free coffee. And so many times if somebody recognizes that somebody's considering a change,
Mhm.
they'll entice them with a shiny carrot
Mhm.
to pacify them for a short period of time.
Mhm.
And I say, jump. I say, make the decision. The conversation I had yesterday with somebody, we truly believe that we grow leaders in this company. There's not one person in our company, Christy and Aaron's Exit Realty Lake Country, that if they came to us and they said, I want to go out and replicate what you and Aaron are doing in my own company, we would wrap our arms around you, that person, and we would say, let us help you make sure that you have
Yeah.
everything in place to be successful. We are such an open book, especially in our own company with our agents. So many brokers view, and I hear it all the time from brokers, because we have a lot of communications with brokers, just like you guys have communications with agents. I don't want my agents to know too much. If they know too much, they're going to leave me and go out there and do their own thing. And why would you not want that? Why would you not want to grow someone who is going to be able to go out and further your impact? Because if they're doing it for the right reasons and you're doing things the right way, all they're going to do is go out and be able to affect more people and impact more lives in a good way.
So a couple of things there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. So the first thing I want to talk about is your love, your self-love is not a bad thing.
Right.
I don't want I think a lot of people think if I love myself more than other things, then I'm conceited or I'm all these bad things, right?
Right.
And I've got to put myself lower. And as personalities, this is super, super hard. For an S personality, it's really, really tough to put yourself and put your self-love above the interest of other people.
It's like the
It's really,
oxygen
really hard.
mask.
It's super, super hard. It's the oxygen mask analogy. They tell you to put your oxygen mask on first before you do try to help somebody else. Okay. Your self love has got to get to the point where you love yourself so much that you will not accept mediocrity. You got to love yourself so much that you will not accept the less than the best for yourself. You got to love yourself so much that there's nothing you won't do to make yourself better, improve your health, improve your business, improve your relationship, improve who you are as a person, get smarter, do something better, whatever it is. Whatever it is, you got to get to the point where you love yourself so much that you disconnect from that false sense of responsibility to someone else who's average, someone else who's holding you back, someone else who has that conversation with you and tells you you're never going to achieve that.
Right.
If you go do that, you're going to fall on your face.
Yep.
You're going to starve if you want real estate.
Yep.
You're going to you'll be homeless. If you go to Nashville, do you know how many homeless songwriters there are in Nashville? No shit. You know I'm sorry, Violet. Do you know how many homeless?
Sorry, Charlie Page.
Sorry, y'all. How many people show up in Nashville, dreams and desires, have one setback, have 4 setbacks, can't get anything to go, and they quit and they give up and they end up homeless on the side of the street. There is many of those. There are more of those stories than there are the stories that I wrote a song for Keith Urban.
Let me tell you that I personally know 2 people. One who's still in Nashville as a struggling songwriter who we've recently had interaction with, because FYI, the songwriters that come to Nashville, they either have another gig
They better have another
that
gig.
they think is their side hustle, but really is their main hustle.
You know what? Hey, do you know what struggling songwriters do in Nashville? They get real estate licenses.
They sell real estate.
They sell real estate.
They
Uber and sell real estate.
So I personally know 2 people who have been songwriters in Nashville, who one is still giving it everything he's got. When I found out how much a songwriter, even ones that have their songs picked up, they don't make any money. I'm telling you, y'all can start doing BPOs. Y'all can start assigning, y'all can start selling a home warranty with there's things you can do as a very side hustle related to real estate. And by very side hustle, I mean like
sell tie-dye t-shirts at the flea market every other Saturday.
And only have 3 hours to do it.
Right.
And make more money than what songwriters make, even when their songs get picked up. like they got to get picked up by a big gig, like a big one, to make any money at all. I know someone else who came to Nashville years ago. I used to actually have the same last name as that person. It was a cousin who came to Nashville who probably could have done a very, very good job had he just had the support behind him and someone saying, stick with it, keep pressing, keep doing it, keep pressing forward.
Yep.
And the two people that and again, I have very, very limited experience with songwriters in Nashville. Two, one who's still working on it, who his songs are fantastic. I've heard him sing his songs. Fantastic. I've heard the other guy sing his songs. Fantastic. Just couldn't make it. Okay. The one is still doing it. I think eventually he's going to hit that breakthrough. But I'll tell you what I know based on my personal experience with both those people holds them back is their ego. How many of these people who come out here and think it's supposed to happen right now?
Yep.
It's supposed to happen right now. I'm good enough to do this. And guess what? You might be good enough to do it. But what it's going to take is you digging and continuing to dig and continuing to dig. It's that picture of the guy with the pickaxe digging through, and they stop. And the next guy comes and picks up the pickaxe because they gave up. And they hit the axe 4 times, and the whole thing of diamonds comes out.
Man, I just had y'all need to, please somebody write this down and send this to me a little bit. Champions are not victims of comparison. Champions are not victims of comparison. And I'm telling you that right there that's gold right there. Champions are not victims of comparison. A champion doesn't give a crap about what everybody else is doing because they love themselves so much. They love their dream and desire so much. They love so much where they're going and the goal they're trying to achieve. You can either get on the train, get off the train, get on the boat, get off the boat. It really doesn't matter to them because they got somewhere to go. And if you're going to be around them and you're going to help them get to where they need to go, then you got to catch up because this is where we're going and this is how we're getting there.
And I'm going to say this. How many of y'all are baseball fans? Why do you think a closer in baseball, the pitcher, the closer, gets so much, how much work and time and proving themselves and doing the things they do? How much time do you think the closer has had to put in to getting to be the person that comes in and closes? How much work, if you've ever thought about that, of everything that goes into the pitcher that's the closer? The pitcher that's the closer doesn't get credit for the win. They closed it. They come through and do all the work while somebody else is actually getting them to the point of being able to come in and close, pitch the last 3 batters.
Throw 15 pitches.
Their team wins the game. The guy who had been in there for the whole game is the one that gets credited with the win. But the closer has also had to be that person who had to be willing to walk off the mound, be okay with it, and know that the coaches are and that this is what's in the best interest of the team. How many times do you think a pitcher is frustrated whenever they do so good coming in, and even if they're not messing up, their coach pulls them off the mound and they bring the closer in to finish it up because they know. Well, what a lot of people don't know is that closer's been in the what do you call that thing at the end? In the bullpen almost the entire game, keeping his arm warmed up, being ready to go in.
Or playing Xbox and smoking cigarettes. We don't really know.
We're not sure because they don't typically use the camera on the closer. But it's what we hear happens is they're in the bullpen most of the time. But all the preparation that gets to go in, and they're doing all that work to go in and all that time. They're throwing as many pitches during that ball game as the guy who's on the mound. And how many times does that closer never get on the mound?
Mm-hmm.
How many times does that closer stay in the bullpen and throw pitches the entire game, keeping his arm loose, keeping his arm warmed up, ready to go in and throw 10 pitches to close this game out and not get credited with the win? Okay? Because champions understand that sometimes we get to celebrate victory and success because of what someone else did to get us to that point of being able to go in there and do that.
Mm-hmm.
right? So the ego piece of it,
Mhm.
I'm coming around to what I'm talking about with
Okay.
this. The ego piece of it is sometimes these people who don't ever make it big aren't willing to say, I'm not the one that did this. I'm not the one that won this game. They're willing to come in and help until they get to be in that starring role.
Mhm.
They have to go through and they have to write songs that get picked up by no names for so long until finally a Keith Urban hears a song and says, dang, I wish I'd heard that song that
Mhm.
you wrote. And he says, you did. Your people did. I sent it to them.
Right.
And they never called me. And he's like, what? So then somebody starts paying attention, right? And then you get, so the leadership, the success, the growth, it doesn't always come because you get to be out front
Mhm.
in the beginning, which is why I say we grow leaders in this company. That's what we're working on doing. We are molding and shaping the people that are in the bullpen the entire time and they're doing the stuff, but they're not on the mound pitching the ball the whole time. And sometimes they don't get credit with the win, but they are being prepared to jump in and get the credit for the win.
And I think, so I think a huge piece of this, again, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die to get there. Right? We all, heck, I want to go on one of those fiery chariot things. Like, I mean, I don't want to die. I want to go out and people go, man, look at that. I mean, that's how I want to go. Everybody wants to go to heaven.
I hope I'm on the chariot with you because I don't even like being hot, much less on fire.
Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die to get there. So let me. I'm going to talk about this a second. So what does that really mean? Everybody wants to go to heaven. Everybody wants to be there where it's wonderful, where angels fly, where the streets are made of gold, where there's a mansion prepared for you. Everybody wants to be in this place of enlightenment, of joy, of eternal happiness, of all these things. But nobody wants to die to make it happen. And it's when you say, this is,
oh my gosh, y'all, he's got chicken skin over here right now.
Your ego has to die.
Yep.
Your ego has to die. The Bible talks about yourself. You have to die. Yourself has to die to be born again. You got to die. Your ego has to go away. You got to let that thing go. And your ego is the thing that's tied to all the habits, all the comfort, all the people that are patting you on the back and telling you it's okay to be average, all the people that are telling you it's okay not to chase your dreams. Just go to work and get you a job and just retire and you'll be happy. And you sit there miserable and you sit in your life and you're like, man, I wish I'd have done this. I wish I'd have done that. You have all these regrets. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die to get there. Are you willing to die to get to where you want to go? Are you willing to die to create the legacy for your family? Are you willing to put your ego down, punch your ego in the face, kill your ego off to achieve and do the things that you're supposed to do? Because I promise you, we are not perfect in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
But those moments where we see one of you guys achieve something, when we see one of y'all do something spectacular, when we had that conversation driving down the road, and Christy says, do you know what Millie just did? And we get tears in our eyes. It's because, man, because this is our heaven. We're walking in our purpose. We're doing the thing we're supposed to be doing. And every now and again, through all the crap that we have to go through the lawsuits, through the people talking crap about us behind our backs, to the ex-wives and ex-husbands who are trying to throw us darts at us, to all the bad things that happen, every now and again, there are these little glimpses, there are these little winks, there's little things that God does where we sit and look at each other and we say, this is all worth it. This is absolutely worth it. Going to heaven ain't easy. Going down that narrow path isn't easy.
Right.
You got to be willing to do the hard, small things all the time. You got to be willing to say no to self. You got to be willing to say no to average. You got to be willing to kill off your ego, get inside your spirit and your heart, and do the things it's going to take to get to where you're supposed to go. Because there are people waiting on you.
Right.
There are legacies waiting on you dormant. They are there. They are waiting on you to get there and go through that door.
And sometimes what I said a while ago about the commitment, some people stay places and they stay in good situations because of their ego. And it's your ego that says, I love where I'm at now. I love the people that I work with.
It's okay. You don't have to do it today.
But
it's okay. Don't worry about going over there. They're just going to tell you no.
So the reason I say that is because, and this was the conversation I had yesterday, how many people are you, if you look at it from shine the light just a little differently, turn that light just a little bit differently, how many people are you withholding sharing your impact with? Because how many people are you literally not helping because you're afraid to offend one person, because you're afraid to leave this group of people, because you're afraid of what are they going to say, what are they going to do? That I would, this was the word used yesterday, I would be crucified. That was literally the term that was used. I would be crucified if I went a different direction. Really? So, and this is my thing. And last night he says to me, he says, do you want that person to join our company? And I said, no. I mean, would we accept them? Yes. But do we want them to join our company? Is that a selfish conversation? Absolutely not. If it means them joining our company so that we can give them the strength and the confidence to do what I know this person needs to go out there and do, yeah. I don't mind being crucified. I don't mind pissing somebody off. If it means that I know that it helps get someone away from a situation that will then allow, it's a good situation. And that's what they kept saying yesterday. It's such a good situation. I know, but good's the enemy of great.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it takes somebody being willing to have that conversation with you and say, get away from the good situation because you got great right over here. You got all these people in this area over here that need you to be the very best version of you. And I promise you, if you're sitting here telling me and having a conversation that goes something like, my brokers can't know I'm having this conversation, or I can't stop in and work in a different office that's not their office, or it's an office of a different company. Maybe it's a different brand because my brokers are going to freak out. Really? Because the way I see it is if you're with your brokers and you're stopping and another company is allowing you to come in and use their space and Wi-Fi and a place that you can actually conduct business on their, that they're benefiting from, but they don't want you to do that. I can't wrap my head around that. I honestly can't wrap my head around that. And we say this all the time. We are an open book. We share as brokers. Y'all, I'm so sorry because I let them out because I was afraid they were going to start scratching the door, and now it's louder underneath my seat right now. But it's the dogs doing their morning feats of strength. But we don't withhold from you guys as brokers because we don't want you to know enough to get out there and do it on your own if that's what you chose to do. Because if you decided to get out there and do it on your own, we want to make sure that you're successful. There's an agent here this week. She's not with Exit. She started with Exit. She worked for me. She was my assistant. She started her own company 2 or 3 years ago. I am so proud to see her doing what she's doing. Do I think that Exit can help her because she's an independent? I absolutely do. Will I still do whatever I can to help support her and help her grow and be successful, whether or not she's got an Exit name attached to her company or not? Absolutely. Because it's what we do when we really care about people.
Right.
So when a leader has an outward mindset, I'm so sorry. That was my bad for letting them out of the room. But when a leader has an outward mindset towards, there was something that came up yesterday that some of our agents said. This person mentioned, we help agents open their own companies. We help agents transition from being an agent to a franchise owner. Okay, I think that's great. I think that there's an order of operations that needs to happen because for us, we want to make sure that our agents are prepared for success. And one of the agents that's here with us made it to the 3:00 session yesterday with us that talked about just data protection.
Yeah.
One little teeny tiny, and I mean a drop in the dadgum bucket of all the things you have to think about when you're a broker. The lady doing the class said there's a reason I'm not a real estate broker. And it's because I don't want to have to worry about this, but I do give brokers guidance on things to think about when it comes to this. And it was protecting your data. It was what kind of liability are you? I mean, it was literally a drop in the bucket bloop, of the things that brokers have to focus on and be aware of and take caution that most people think. I want to be a broker because I don't want to give away any of my commission.
Right.
I want to be a broker because I want to keep it all. Great. Do it. Trust me. Because the amount of commission you're going to keep is this much compared to this much of what you're actually going to be giving away as a broker to your own company. That's still not going to come in, so we like to make sure people are aware of that. But again, that takes a leader it's the same way we look at our kids. I know parents, and as sad as this is, that don't prepare their children to be independent adults because they don't ever want to lose that control over their kids. Those same people that manage brokerages that way probably raise their children that way, if we're being honest.
So, and I want to, because I think this goes back to a real simple concept. It's a simple concept, but it's so hard. Living with a growth mindset or living with a fixed mindset. Living out of fear, or living out of love. Living out of scared or living out of hope. They're diametrically opposed to each other. They're 180 degrees apart.
That's so good.
And when you live out of scarcity, when you live out of fear, when you live always the other shoe is going to drop, you live out of, if I lose something, right? If I lose this, I'm never going to make it. If somebody tells me no, I'm going to melt into a little puddle. If someone rejects me, if someone doesn't tell me I'm wonderful, I'm going to fall in this little puddle. You do realize that all living in fear, living in scarcity, living in that mindset, your ego, one, is the propeller of that life. Because your ego is the one who wants to get the accolades. Your ego wants the adulation. Your ego wants to be told it's okay. And it's your ego who's going to tell you you're not good enough. It's your ego who's going to tell you that if they win something, that means you lose. It's your ego that tells you if somebody leaves, that means you're not worth it. All those things, that's your ego. That's the piece of you that has to die. You've got to stop. Carrie just said, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Right.
If you pick up a phone and call a stranger, what's the worst thing that could happen? Could they say to you, I really hate your guts. I wish you would have never called me. If they say that and it's a stranger, how can they hate you? They don't even know you.
Right.
But in your ego will say, see, that's why I told you shouldn't call strangers.
Right.
That's why your mama told you don't talk to strangers. It's because strangers are mean and nasty and ugly.
Right.
Your ego propels this sense of fear, this life lived in fear, this life lived in scarcity. I want to fill you in on something. There is nothing scarce about this world. There's nothing scarce about this universe. There is no limit on what God can do.
I'm going to use the Nick Saban example. We use Nick Saban so much as an example. And I said this when University of Georgia won the national championship last year. Who was the first person that beelined across the field, which they do it because they're coaches, but how do you think Nick Saban felt when Kirby Smart, who was a protege under Nick Saban for all those years, even though when Kirby left, it may have been difficult. It may have been hard for Nick to see someone go because we're human, because we are human. Who do you think was the first person? And it was a genuine hug of proud parent moment, that something that he had poured into. Nick Saban had as much to do with the victory of the University of Georgia Bulldogs in the national championship as so many other people did, because he had poured into the leadership that was able to achieve that. An ego doesn't. Yes, Nick Saban has very high expectations. He does not run a lax ship. He does not let people settle for mediocre. It's not part of his program.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did is he instilled in Kirby Smart the same mindset. It was a championship mindset, which is why for all these years, Mark Richt, great coach, amazing person, does not know. And Kirby Smart to this day is still battling the University of Georgia mentality of not keeping your foot on the accelerator until you're well past the finish line. Okay, they take their foot off. But a good leader has laid down their ego from the sense of we want to see our people that we care about succeed, even if it's not in our house. When Lainey left for college, as a parent, you grow up and you raise your kids to go out and spread their wings. And I'll never forget walking in her bedroom the morning we were all leaving to go take her to school. And she called me and she packed her whole room up. And I may get teary-eyed just thinking about the emotion that came over me. But as a parent, you know you're excited they're going, but sometimes that we're human, it still hits us. And I open a room and it's empty, and I go in to get one stupid thing she forgot, and I walk in and I literally lay like just face down, smelling her bed because I'm just squalling my eyes out because my baby's leaving the nest because they're going to do something. And then, but I had to get through that birthing process again as a parent to go through that hard time of letting go and letting your child go do what, and now look at her. Like I had to let that go and let her go and become her own person that was influenced by me, obviously, and everything I poured into her. But I had to let her go and put her own spin on it. There's a time that every one of you guys are going to come to us, and y'all may sit through a class and say, I'm going to do everything I'm doing under y'all and let you keep that liability. But even so, that you're going to want to build a team. You're going to want to build a business of your own. So we got to let you guys grow up and be big and be supportive of when sometimes that growing up and being big doesn't mean it's in our house.
Right.
But it's my responsibility. And I'll mama bear. Last night when they told me that, they're like, oh, well, it was almost like planting the seed of maybe you want to be a franchisee. Great. But I need to know that my kids are prepared. I don't want somebody coming in and telling my kid to move out of the house at 14 and say, you can do it. You can do it. Come on, move out your own. You might be 6 years early.
Right.
Come on out here and do it on your own. So the good and comfortable places that we sit in good, that are really good, will sometimes hold us back from doing what's great and from really doing what we putting that next level on it. Putting that wall looks good, but if you go in and you make it your own and you make it a wall that's like Camellia makes in her houses with all that extra stuff, that's taking a good wall and making it great.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave you with this because I think I'm gonna give him my glasses right there.
You want mine?
No.
Oh, you want the one with 2 legs?
I would like the 2 legs. I'm gonna read this again. I read it the other day. I still haven't typed it up and put it on the page because I want you to have this. Again, I want you to plug in. I want you to hear these words, and I want you to listen to this, okay? We've got to get in the habit of killing off our ego. We've got to get in the habit of every single day doing, maybe it's just doing one thing uncomfortable. Maybe it's making one phone call. For me, getting up at 3:45 is uncomfortable, right? So maybe but that uncomfortable, me overcoming that uncomfortable thing, right, is helping me get stronger. It's killing off my ego. It's helping me in so many other facets of my life, just killing that off. So maybe it's one thing today that you do that's uncomfortable. Maybe it's making a phone call to a stranger. Maybe there's something you've been putting off that you need to go do. But this call these mornings, when we get up and do this, is to help activate you in your day, is to help activate your spirit, help talk to the thing inside you that's special, that's fantastic, that's wonderful, to get you off to a fantastic start in this next 24 hours. This is the last September 1st, 2022 you're ever going to have. It's the only one. There's something magical that's there for you to find. In those 3 stories, of those 3 songwriters, there was one magical moment. There was Keith Urban taking a leak in the bathroom and a conversation. There's an introduction to Jessica Simpson. There's always that magical moment where the universe provides for you this intersection between where you are and where you need to be going. And one person, one situation, one conversation, a wink, a smile, a nod, a note, whatever it is. But if you're in your ego and you're so worried about what you're not going to get, you're so worried about being comfortable, you're so concerned with staying in the same spot, you're going to miss your moment. Unless, you're going to miss your moment. Be open to that. So, in that vein, I'm going to read this to you. I want you to pay attention, sit down, and listen to this. And I want you to hear these words. Again, I'm going to try to type it up, since you have it, and you can print it off and put it on your wall, because I think this is absolutely fantastic. Here we go. This day is a blessing that I will honor, savor, and make fullest use of. Tomorrow is an idea. Today is what's real. And so I choose to live it elegantly, patiently, and immaculately. Over the moments coming, I will show up as a leader, not as a victim. As an originator, not a copier. As a visionary instead of a follower. Today, I choose to be extraordinary rather than average, and brave instead of timid. A hero in my own distinct way, instead of giving away my potent powers by blame, complaint, and excuse. Insecurity and meekness and the fear of rejection will not pollute my productivity, not hinder my ability to uplift, respect, and render value to other people. This day, I will make time for reflection and deep thinking, resist all time wasters, remain in the present moment, and perform labor that reveals mastery while remaining true to my highest ideals. Today, I will keep each promise I make to myself, defend my hopefulness, exercise my best habits, and accomplish the things that make my heart sing. For I have much music in me, and I will no longer disrespect myself by keeping that song within. I didn't know that was in there. I forgot that was in there. In the hours ahead, I will be supremely disciplined and incredibly focused, never confusing being busy with getting major feats done. And should I need to rest, I will not measure this as a waste, understanding that first-class performance without honest recovery leads to degradation of my native genius. Today, I will not leave the sight of a great insight without taking some action to implement it. I know that ideation without execution is the sport of fools, and that making amazing dreams real is an enormous act of self-love. This day, I will be more valiant than yesterday, more optimistic than I was last evening, and kinder than I was last night. I understand that big people are the ones who make others feel bigger. And that on my deathbed, what will matter most will be the human beings I've inspired, the caring I've delivered, and the generosity I've displayed. And so, in the face of, I can't see through these tears, in the face of any chattering doubts, I will advance my most sensational products and produce towering work that stands the test of time. Because I know that frustration is the child of stagnation, and steady progress is a testimony to my talent. Regardless of old challenges, I will take my next step into the ring. In spite of any self-doubt, I will continue the climb to my most aspirational moments. I'm more of a doer than a talker, more of a deliverer than a dabbler, more of a pro than an amateur. I know that monuments are made one stone at a time, and so I start, and I stay concentrated, grounded, and centered for many hours at a time without being distracted by nuisances. And in doing so, no matter what the outcome, I've realized a central victory over my darker self and the weakness that once bound me.
That's gold right there.
And as I continue to make small advances toward my highest ideas, my tiny triumphs introduce me to truth and strongness within me. And this reconnection electrifies the once damaged relationship with my most glorious self. That is so stinking good. Get out there and get it today. Be 1% better. Do something uncomfortable today.
Yep.
Be good.
Be great.
Be you. Love y'all.
Love y'all. Bye.